Have you dealt with any resistance in your time, leading your platoon, as far as you're trying to lead a platoon and you are having a hard time getting cooperation, from people
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's
under
like
you?
a certain level of buy-in specifically for the soldiers in your platoon on like the lower level. They've been there already and they've seen a lot. They've seen leaders come and go, as we often do, right? There's only a certain amount of time that we get to spend in a certain position.
Right.
So they've seen how it was before, and they see this new person come in trying to change it.
Right.
And hindsight is 2020, but we try to change it into something better, right? And sometimes that takes buy-in. Well, I would say every time it takes buy-in. But in order to get to that buy-in, sometimes it's a lot more difficult.
So how do you get them to buy in?
It's really taking their feedback and seeing where they want it to go. Like, you guys have been here this whole time. Tell me everything.
Right.
Tell me the good. Tell me the bad. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you don't want anymore. And I think that's one of the challenging things being in the position that we are in, because we have to find a way to take everything that they're telling us and make it happen. And sometimes like you're stuck in this weird middle ground where it's like, I know I need to do this for them, but how am I going to get also buy-in from the top? Like, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you kind of get it from all angles.
Right.
But at the same time, like, in that same sense for other leadership that you have to work with, as a female in this position, I do feel like it's a little bit more difficult because we get that pushback.
You're taking my questions from me. You're taking my questions from me. So how do you think it's harder to be a woman in that type of leadership position as a platoon leader
than a man? Like harder?
Yeah,
than,
like
than
harder
a,
than
my
like
male counterparts.
Yeah, like do you think you have a harder time just getting people to either buy in or just follow than it would, say, a man?
I do feel like that. I almost hate admitting to that, but I do feel like that because we're automatically kind of viewed as like, we don't know what we're doing. Maybe there's some females out there that don't experience that, but a lot of times in my experience, I do get that. And you almost have to have this sense of over self-confidence. Like,
yeah, I was going to ask.
I do know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what are some of the stereotypes that you may have either heard or you are aware of when it comes to, women leadership?
Oh, we don't know what we're doing. We're too soft. We care too much. It's just a mixture of all those things that you do have to battle every day. And there's sometimes where I come into work and I feel like I can't be myself. I can't be myself because I have to put on this facade of all these other things in order for people to think that I know what I'm doing. And that can be exhausting in itself. But once you get through that initial and you're just like, you know what, I am who I am, and eventually you're going to see it. Like, it's almost like I have to give faith in that it's going to come with patience and with time.
Yeah. There's this image of what the quote unquote prototype leader looks like, and usually it's a white man. He has a stone face on, and like he just has this certain type of personality, and if you deviate from that, then you're not looked at as competent.
Let me tell you, I deviate from that. It's so hard. Like, I don't fit that at all. I am a caring person, but I like to approach life on a more positive side.
Right.
And in that sense, like, if I don't laugh at myself, if I don't laugh at like how ridiculous I am sometimes, or sometimes when I make mistakes, like. Life would just be too heavy and I wouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to do it. And that's just who I am. And I know there's, leaders out there who are different in that sense. But I do, you kind of have to be well-rounded. Like, I do have my serious side. I have my side where it's like, hey, you're talking to an officer right now. Like, don't come at me like how you're coming at me.
Right.
And I think there are more instances like on the female leadership side of the house where we kind of have to be like, who do you think you're talking to?
Right.
I can think of two instances where I've had to kind of stand behind my rank and be like, what the fuck are you saying right now?
Yeah.
So, but I do feel like sometimes we have to stick up for ourselves more than maybe our male counterparts.
Okay.